So we're here with Onyeka Akumah, CEO and founder of Farmcrowdy. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's just start with talking about what exactly is Farmcrowdy.
Okay, so first, my name is Onyeka Akumah, and I'm the founder of Farmcrowdy. Farmcrowdy is a digital agriculture platform that connects small-scale farmers with investors for the purpose of boosting food production in the country. What we've done over the last 2 years and 10 months has been to create a website that people can come to and now invest in small-scale farmers for them to boost food production by allowing them to cultivate more food, by giving them access to market, by providing them with the technical knowledge for them to improve the quality of what it is they produce, and then also making them market ready so that we can sell everything and then the farmer gets a share of his profit. So this is Farmcrowdy. In the last couple of months since we started, we've been able to engage about 25,000 farmers within that period. We've also expanded our operations across 14 to 15 states in Nigeria, getting these farmers to produce food on 16,000 acres of farmland. We've been able to work with 2.5 million chickens and cows within that period. And I'm quite excited about my team because it's a team of 55 people who are between the ages of 20, 21, and 34. The average age is between 24.5. And so you have millennials that are excited about bringing in their knowledge, their expertise, to have an impact in the sector that wasn't tagged as sexy initially. And so that is what Farmcrowdy is.
So what does the back end look like? How do you engage both the farmers and the investors?
Right. First, what happens is we go out and look for a buyer, someone that says he wants 2,000 metric tons of maize. And from that order, we're able to connect with the fact that to produce 2,000 metric tons of maize, you need a farmer to produce X number of acres of maize to achieve that milestone. So we look across the map and say, where exactly can we find these farmers? Where will you see farmers that produce the right quality and meet the demand of the market? And so we identify the buyers first, then we move on to identifying the farmers. The farmers come to us in cooperatives, not as individual farmers. And so we put them into groups and cooperatives, and then we design a protocol of what should happen on the farm. So to produce 2,000 metric tons of maize within, say, a season, you will require the planting to happen at a particular time, the land preparation to happen at a particular time. You require labor at a particular time. You require harvesters at a particular time. All of that is designed into a protocol that then determines how much is needed to complete a full farming cycle. So from the buyer to identifying the farmers to then identifying how much, designing a protocol and then arriving at how much is needed. Once we have a figure that is needed, we make this available on our website so that sponsors come and sponsor different units. So say you need $5,000. We make it available units of $1,000. And so people can take up 1 unit and 2 units and 3 units. And as they are able to take a risk with us, they're able to sponsor on our platform to get us that money to work with the farmers. Once we mop up that money and we get the monies available, we buy the inputs and make it accessible to the farmers. The farmers do their work under our supervision. The sponsors getting updates in form of videos and pictures and text of what's happening on the farm. And then at the end of the cycle, that buyer would have had a pre-arranged contract with us on what they'll be buying from us. And so we tell them, we are now ready with your 2,000 metric tons of maize. The harvest is mopped up. They pay Farmcrowdy. Farmcrowdy pays the farmers, pay the sponsors that brought the money originally, and they will keep a share of profit for the work we've done. So this is pretty much the model and how it works. And I've just pretty much run you through maybe 9 months of activities in 3 or 4 paragraphs of describing our model.
Wow, but that sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Because then what happens is you produce something very specific and there's no waste and there's like off-takers like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And so you work backwards. Let me just see if I understand that. You first of all identify the buyer.
Yes.
And then you identify what you would require to produce what the buyer wants.
Yep.
And then you mentioned that you don't work directly with the farmers?
No, we do work directly with the farmers. So we get the buyers, we get the farmers, The farmers come to us in groups or cooperatives.
Got it,
So
cooperatives.
they can come in pools of 10s or 20. So we're working with the farmers actually. And then we design a protocol on what should happen on the farm within a season. And then that allows us to arrive at what the cost would be to work on that protocol with the farmer. And then once we get the cost, we make this available on our website. People come and sponsor those activities, and then we get the farmers to work.
How do you assure that how can you assure everyone that they get what they have signed up for?
Oh, okay. So to the buyers at the end of the day that are buying the commodity, they give us contracts to say if you meet this quality and this quantity, we'll buy at X amount. So that's what we get from them, pre-arranged contracts with them and LPOs and what have you from the buyers. For the farmers, the contract we tell to them is if you're going to get all the inputs required and you get all the training required and you do your work diligently, we expect you to produce X amount of commodity from your farm. Because now you're not spending money you're not spending money from loans you had to get from the bank. You're not dealing with the expertise you need because we've provided that for you. Everything the farmer needs is provided. So just do your work as a farmer and get us the expected yield. And then also we provide insurance. So the insurance covers the inputs that go into the farm or the expected yields where beyond the farmer's effort, the farmer finds himself in a situation where maybe there's a flood in the area and it wipes up all the farms. There's some insurance to protect the farmers as well. So that is in place for the farmers. Then the sponsors, there's also insurance to protect the input cost. So if you're putting in $1,000 on our platform, about $4 out of that, so 4% of your sponsorship, $40, that 4% of your sponsorship goes into an insurance cover to make sure that the sponsorship company on our platform gives you that assurance that it has that cover to protect the input cost. And so those are the things the mechanisms we've put in place. But the biggest insurance you can have in any farming activity is attention to detail and ensuring that you follow a well thought out protocol without deviating from that. That is how you get the results you want.
And where did you come up with the idea to start Farmcrowdy?
It was a simple idea. I wanted to invest in agriculture. For me, I always had three major areas that I wanted to use technology for. One was agriculture, second was transportation, and the third was real estate. And so I had always paid attention to how you could apply technology to these three areas, because in all of these three areas, you will find true value and true impact on the African continent if you're able to use technology to solve problems in those areas. So those were my own areas. So at the time when I was pretty much helping other businesses to start up or to lead their marketing team, I was paying attention to what I could do with agriculture. And so in 2015, when the Nigerian government was very active about telling people to get involved in agriculture, I got excited about it and I wanted to invest in a farmer. And in the process of investing or looking for the farmer to invest in was when I discovered that there are over 30 million small-scale farmers in Nigeria that have the problems of access to funding, technical knowledge, and market access to sell what they produce. And that was opportunity one. Opportunity two was that there were so many people like me who were excited about investing in agriculture, but didn't know the farmers to work with. They didn't know which farmer I give my money to, and he'll be able to do the work I want at the end of the day. And so that was my problem that I could see in some thousands of people that wanted to invest in agriculture. So that created the opportunity in Farmcrowdy, and Farmcrowdy became the concept of getting a crowd of people to come together to farm. So when I was looking at the farmer, I called my co-founders who are with me now in Farmcrowdy, Ifeanyi, Akindele, Christopher, and Tokwe. And each one of them came with their own expertise in finance, in technology, in data, in operations, core farming operations. And together, we then decided to then invest in that farmer to test. And in the process of testing small, we started understanding how to improve our model. And over time now, it's grown into what it is today. And we're quite excited about it.
Do you remember your very first farm?
My first farm was a chicken farm that my mom got for me when I was 12. She gave me 200 day-old chicks and said I should raise them and sell them at Christmas, that Santa Claus was going to get me a gift. I wanted a bicycle. And I mean, I know I was 12, but I don't know why I believed the story. And I went on to raise those 200-day-old chicks, and I actually got my Christmas gift. And so that taught me about taking, using your hands to create what you want and then getting something out of it. But the sad part was that the chickens we couldn't sell, I ended up eating them at Christmas. I think that spoiled the business for me because I couldn't understand why I raised those birds and then I was eating them at Christmas. So I think that was where that business ended. So that was my first foray into agriculture. And then when we started Farmcrowdy, we got a farmer, Adenike in Ibadan, Oyo State, who we started with 500-day-old chicks with her, and we told her to raise them into full-blown chickens, and she did a fantastic job. We wanted them to be 3.5 kg to 4 kg birds. We thought that was a magic number to sell, and then you get people to buy. She did a great job with them. She slept in the pens to make sure they were warm. She did an excellent job. I think we lost maybe 7 birds in that cycle. But when we were moving the birds from that farm to the market, so the people that are going to buy it were the UBA cooperative. The truck broke down on the road, and we lost 60% of the birds, about 300 birds, and that was a very sad experience. We didn't let her know because it was going to break her heart. But beyond her also was we learned how to deal with insurance. We learned how to stay close to the market. We learned how to tidy up certain things in our operations to make sure that we dealt with such losses. Over time, from having this activity start up September, we did a test farm September 14, 2016, and then we launched November 14, 2016. So between that time of testing and losing 60% of the birds, we've gone on to do about 2.5 million birds, and our mortality rate is now at 4%. So it shows how much we've been able to learn from 500-day-old chicks and losing 60% to 2.5 million birds and losing 4%. This has been our journey through Farmcrowdy, and then it has allowed us to then expand into other farms, whether it's crop farms or it's cow farms, beef. So we do a lot of beef. Now we slaughter an average of 45 cows on a daily basis, supply to 25 outlets in Lagos every day. And it shows you how much we've been able to grow in that regards as well. And so, and that was where it started, both for me with the 200 birds and with Farmcrowdy with 500 birds.
Sorry, I'm just going to take us a bit back. Sure. What was your professional background before starting Farmcrowdy? Were you always involved in agriculture?
Never. So before now, I was not doing anything in agriculture. I think I just wanted to get involved in agriculture in 2015 when I was looking at investing in a farm beyond my 200 birds that I did when I was 12. So my background was I graduated from an Indian university, Sikkim Manipur University, where I had a distinction in software engineering, but I never really used my degree for much. I just had that, and it was almost like having a degree for your dad. So I got my certificate and I told him I've done what you wanted me to do. And immediately I started designing websites for people. So I started working for a couple of organizations designing their websites, and designed over 400 websites, including bank websites, and newspaper websites, and lots of websites. That allowed me to then move from just a web designer to work with a couple of other organizations as online marketing manager. So my time saw me work in the corporates like British Council in Nigeria. From British Council, I then joined Deloitte, where I was the e-marketing coordinator for 6 countries across East and West Africa. And then I moved into the startup world. So I joined Wakanow very early on as an online marketing manager in 2010, designed their web and mobile presence. From Wakanow, I joined Jumia. It was a combination of Sabunto and Kasura that merged to become Jumia. I was employee number 1 in the Sabunto arm, and I was director of marketing. So the early phase, maybe pretty much the first Nigerian to join the team to start up the business. That was in 2012. I did some of that. I did some work with them, and then I later joined the competition, Konga, as vice president of marketing to set up their marketing team. After Konga, I then decided to launch my own business. I did that with Quick Gist, which I later on sold to a newspaper house, and then went back to try to help a group of people to launch another business called Travel Better. It was while I was in Travel Better, my second year in Travel Better, that I had the idea for Farmcrowdy, and I felt I wanted to give it another try again of launching another business. And so I moved on from Travel Better, second year, and then started out Farmcrowdy.
How did you fund everything in the beginning?
You mean Farmcrowdy?
Yeah.
So what happened was I knew I was going to leave Travel Better roughly about 8 months before I left. And so I started saving 50% of my salary, setting that aside to get ready to launch Farmcrowdy. And then also my co-founders that joined me brought in their expertise. So Akinle brought financial expertise, and he was able to design the financial model at no cost, which was his contribution. Christopher handled the technology side. Tokpe brought the first demo farm we started with. Ifeanyi was the resource person that got all the farmers and data and things in place. So everyone had their own contribution. I brought a lot of marketing experience and set up a marketing team, but I also brought initial cash to get us going. 3 months into it, we then raised our first 3-4 months into it. We raised our first seed angel investment of $60,000. And then 9 months into Farmcrowdy, we then raised $1 million from Techstars, going through the Techstars Atlanta program. I think that was where a lot of things just started kicking up for us. We've gone on to raise a total of $2.4 million in equity funding and grants within that period from a couple of international and local investors. And this has been how we've gone ahead to fund our operations till date.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm very curious about the crowdfunding or crowd investing model. Has that been a challenge? I can imagine that's still relatively new on the continent in Nigeria. How did you manage that and navigate that?
So in designing Farmcrowdy, I wanted to set it up initially as an exclusive crowdfunding platform, but we noticed how people were a bit skeptical about the fact that you're starting something new. It's still a very relatively new space that hasn't been properly regulated. So how do you convince people to come on board? So what we did was we showed people more of the crowdfarming side than just crowdfunding, so that we allowed, and that's why we use the word sponsors as against investors, so that the people have a sense of partnership and ownership with the farmers, and they are consistently briefed on what the farmers are doing. They can visit the farms and see the farm they sponsored. And so we just added that human element to it to shift a bit of focus from the crowdfunding side to the crowdfarming side, so that people find themselves as being partners with the activity going on the farm. But today, we've been able to evolve that into what we now call Crowdyvest. And in Crowdyvest is where all the crowdfunding activity happens. We designed Crowdyvest to then focus on the United Nations 17 SDG goals, picking agriculture, which is food, no hunger, which is goal number 2, I think, to allow Farmcrowdy to tackle the agriculture part. So Farmcrowdy then focuses on the core agriculture activity of what happens on the farm and trading activities with the farmers and the people buying up what we've produced, while the crowdfunding element sits on Crowdyvest. So on Crowdyvest, people can now sponsor farms on Farmcrowdy, but they can also sponsor other activities. So we have one now with the transportation sector, so people can now sponsor opportunities in the transportation sector, opportunities in the agriculture sector, and so on. All this happens now on Crowdyvest. So this has been how we've evolved over time to what we have today.
Oh wow! So it's actually become 2 businesses, 2 enterprises out of
yes.
the sponsor.
Yes. So we separated the crowdfunding side to be its own business, and then it raises money for the agriculture side, which is on Farmcrowdy.
Okay. Well, if I went to either one of the platforms today and I wanted to invest, what could I invest in today?
So if you go on Farmcrowdy, for instance, you'll see that we have, I think we have sponsorship opportunities coming up this month. We had one last month with beef processing. So you see sponsorship opportunities this month with yam trading and one other activity. If you click on that, it takes you to Crowdyvest to sign up as a sponsor. So if you had previously signed up on Farmcrowdy, your account will be live on Crowdyvest. So you sign up on Crowdyvest and then you can then sponsor the activity. If you go to Crowdyvest alternatively, you see both the Farmcrowdy opportunity and other opportunities in other sectors. But if you're coming from Farmcrowdy, you see all the Farmcrowdy opportunities, and then it allows you to perform the action on Crowdyvest.
I have one question just from the partner, or let me say investor side. Agriculture in some sense is relatively predictable now for you. It seems to me, because you already know the off-takers, so you already know how much revenue you can expect. You also have quite some experience from the farming and testing and all this. How does that work regarding Crowdyvest with other opportunities, for example, in transportation? Do you have similar expertise there that you can guarantee returns, or?
Okay, so with transportation, the platform is called Plenty Worker. And in Plenty Worker's business is to get people to crowdfund buses, brand new buses. And so you crowdfund brand new buses, and the bus is made available on the Plenty Worker platform like an Uber kind of platform. But this is Uber for buses. And so those buses start plying very busy routes. Right now they're starting out with one route in Lagos. So they start plying very busy routes, and the sponsor starts getting updates about how many people have gone in through the bus that you sponsored, how many people have been on the bus, what has the driver generated. And so within a 1 year period, that sponsor gets his money back and a share of the profit. The share of profit on Plenty Worker sits around 20% for a sponsor. And so you get your initial investment and the 20%, and the cycle is done for you. But the driver is on a contract with Plenty Worker to continue driving for 3 years. And within that 3 years, he's then able to own the bus. So that is the impact we're creating for the drivers, because now they will be earning a steady salary or steady income for 3 years. And in addition to that, is at the end of the contract after 3 years, the bus becomes theirs. Now the driver can make a decision after 3 years to put the bus back on Plenty Worker and get another driver to drive for him while he's driving another bus that has been sponsored by somebody on Plenty Worker. So the opportunity for sponsors or the investors on Crowdyvest is that they see their money working for them while they are, so it's doing good while earning money, doing good while doing well. Your money is working for you, and so you're making money, but you're seeing it changing someone's life and having impact in society. And with Plenty Worker's own bit, as against Farmcrowdy, because with Farmcrowdy, the farms are not in the cities, but the sponsors are in the cities. So when they sponsor, they see that skepticism of, where's the farm? I have to visit the farm. So we do a lot of farm visits, and we take them out of the city to see the farms. Plenty Worker is different. You will see your buses on the road. And so just immediately, as your sponsor, you get into, also in fact, use the buses to move from point A to point B, and get excited about the fact that you two are changing the way the landscape is for us in the country.
I really love that, because you're essentially making people that used to be maybe day laborers or just drivers into business owners themselves, or at least there's this opportunity. And also you directly tackle big issues that just need more funding and a structured process for people to invest into something investable.
Yes.
Basically. Love that. What has been your biggest challenge?
I think life has just prepared me to take some steps in areas that not very many people have taken steps in. And so it's scary when you start with something new that you have no template to follow. One of my biggest challenges have been to just consistently think of new ways of doing things and using the model we have designed. That is one major challenge. It's how you just continue creating, and thinking, and then innovating, and then coming up with something new. Second is finding people on the team. That was a very major challenge earlier on. I was recruiting because of the profile of the individual. I've come to see that you recruit for the passion the person has, especially in an early phase where you're creating, the passion the person has for having an impact in society, the skill the person is able to bring on board, irrespective of their age, and also the fact that the person is able to believe in the vision and stay till that vision is materialized. Those three things become even more important than just the profile or the CV the person has. So over time, I've come to learn that. And so I'm very happy about the family we have today in Farmcrowdy. But as we grow and we scale, it's making sure that we continue to maintain the status quo, that this culture is what we want to exemplify across all our businesses. The other thing has been you are always looking for funding, and so you're raising money consistently. It's a bit of a distraction for an entrepreneur because you devote 50% of your time talking to investors and convincing them about investing in this new thing that they've not seen yet, and then you want to try it out and then move up with that. And so that whole process of consistently raising funding, as much as it's exciting to do this, it's also a major task that one has to embrace on a daily basis. The other thing has been, I mean, earlier on it was a bit of skepticism from people about what we're doing in Farmcrowdy, but I mean, I'm excited today because we're consistently getting a lot of good feedback from people. We're getting ambassadors, if I'll use that word. The government in Nigeria has been very supportive. The vice president has really talked a lot about Farmcrowdy. I think after he visited our office, he met the team. He was blown away by the team he saw on ground. And then he also went ahead to sponsor some farms that day in Farmcrowdy and started encouraging people to do same. And then as he's been getting a lot of, because when you sponsor, you start getting our updates. I think as he sees the updates, he just continues to remind him of what's happening here. And so he's been a huge ambassador for talking about the business. It continues to grow our profile. It has also allowed us to attract more people to partner with. And for instance, the recent activity we did in Oyo State, where we partnered with the entire state government to work with 50,000 farmers in that state within an agreed period with the state government. That became a huge opportunity for us. And what that has done is we now have, in the space of 2 weeks since we've announced that, you now have 3 other state governors that have been asking us that they want to do something similar for their farmers in their state. So that opportunity to scale is exciting, but the challenge of making sure you continue to maintain the quality and the standards of the business as it is today, by the time you scale to that level, is my challenge today. And that is what I continue to embrace and deal with on a daily basis.
I believe it. So not scaling too fast, but maintaining this high quality that you or the high quality standards that you seem to have set for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm curious because it's not even just a two-sided market; it's a three-sided market in a sense.
It's a marketplace.
It's a marketplace, yeah. Essentially, what is your main bottleneck? Is it the off-takers? Is it the partners? Is it the farmers? Or are all 3 fronts a challenge at the moment?
I think they are all challenges, but the farmers' end is one of the easiest ends we've had. It's just convincing the farmers to join our model. I think it's been very easy for us to achieve that. I think that's been good. The other side has been the technical expertise to manage the farmers. That has been something we've had to deal with over time. We're currently finding new ways of doing that in partnerships. That was a challenge earlier on. The off-takers is still one thing that it's a challenge that we are dealing with on a daily basis. So you get a lot of off-takers that say, I want 2,000 metric tons, I want 5,000 metric tons. But the contract on how they will pay, some of them will tell you, we'll pay you 40 days, we'll pay you 80 days. Or they just don't have the money at that time to pay all of what you want. Now you have sponsors that want their money, and you have farmers that want their money within a time contract, within a set contract. And so to deal with that, we've had to extend our cycles beyond the actual farming cycle to accommodate the time that it takes these off-takers to pay back. That has limited how many cycles we've been able to have, because when you start extending such cycles, you can't do 2 cycles a year. You can only do 1 successful cycle a year. So those challenges come up. But what we've used to augment against that is we've been able to find other ways of doing other farming activities or agriculture activities, and that has brought up trading. And so we trade in the harvest rather than waiting for the core production alone. And so we do the core production and trade, but we also trade in the harvest. And so we can also aggregate for these buyers. We can get, so for instance, if I use livestock, we have cows that we're fattening to a certain size and then we sell. They have their timeline. But we have cows that we're sourcing that meet the quality that a buyer wants, and we trade on those cows faster. So all of these activities are beginning to come into play, and then we're using to manage how we deal with the challenges that I mentioned.
Wow. Do you at this point still need investment, or is it more of a choice for you that you want to use that to expand your business and all that?
We are always raising. I say to every entrepreneur, you're always raising. I mean, from the first day we decided to raise the first angel investment, I knew that journey had started. We had to consistently raise. If we weren't going to look at that, then we would have started in the first place. And the reason why we're raising is because there are always opportunities across the value chain that we can take advantage of. For instance, there are certain partnerships that we're going into today that may become acquisitions for us tomorrow. And in order to get those deals done, you then need some level of funding to get those deals done. And so as you do those deals also, you're scaling your operations. We're in 15 states at the moment. Nigeria has 36 states. We've worked with 25,000 farmers. There are over 30 million farmers in the country. So there's still a huge opportunity to scale our efforts. And in raising monies to do this, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, we want to look back and see that we become a profitable business. One that we're able to look back and say, because we've been able to raise X amount, we've done X, Y, Z deal. Now this business is beginning to show tremendous profit across board. And so for that reason, we will continue to raise.
Mm-hmm. One question that just popped up for me, because you said that some of the off-takers, it takes them some time to pay.
Yeah.
Have you ever looked into factoring?
Oh yeah, so we've taken all the options into place, and so that's one of the options we have on the table that we are working out a model on. Yes, when you're involved in the process, you get to see those opportunities faster, and so that is one of the options. There are 2 banks we're actually working with in that regards to structure such deals for the buyers.
What would be your advice to a young Nigerian today?
I think my first advice is Nigeria has a lot of opportunities, whether it's you're a career person or an entrepreneur. And in those opportunities, the opportunities have come as a result of many problems. And in the many problems presents many challenges. And those challenges present the opportunities for people to think of what to do to solve those problems. I grew up almost my entire life in Nigeria, and everything I've done today, and all the businesses I've created, have been as a result of those problems that became challenges that turned out to become opportunities for me. As a young Nigerian, all I did was I was hardworking, doing my best in every place I worked in. So I was a very good employee, but at the same time I was building my businesses. And so to every young person out there, I think the first thing I would say is please be as dedicated as you can be to whatever task it is you're performing. If you are a cleaner, be the best cleaner. If you are a doctor, be the best doctor. If you're a teacher, be the best teacher. Do not settle for mediocrity. And there's a lot of that all over the place. Do away with mediocrity and be outstanding with what you do. That is 1. 2, consistently find opportunities for you to give back to the society. Is it that you're giving back with your skill set in building businesses, or you're giving back with your expertise that you're devoting into a sector to make that sector better? But you must give back. Whatever it is you do, make sure there's an impact side of what it is you do, because there are many people that will benefit from the fact that you give back only because you made that decision. 3, consistently read books. Read history about this country. Read books about people that have come through the shores of Nigeria. Read about entrepreneurs that are succeeding today. Read about entrepreneurs that have failed. Read about career people that have thrived, and read about career people that have pivoted into something else. Take those lessons and make yourself a better individual. I think a lot of young people do not read. We celebrate a lot of the success, that we celebrate the process that got to the success. I will encourage you to learn what has gotten each individual to become a success or a failure, and decide how you yourself want to benefit from that and make yourself a better individual. The 4th thing I would say is let us consistently fly our flag. I'm not wearing this native attire because I just want to wear native attire. I'm proud to be a Nigerian. I'm proud of my country. It's what I have, it's what's been given to me. And everything I'm doing here with the people that are also in the organization is to make the place better. And so I encourage you to do the same.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much for having me.